What place gets creepy when you're alone? The library. I work in a big 60-year-old academic library. I have recently started using my office from time to time with everyone else still working from home. I am ashamed to say I turned all of the lights on the floor on while I was there. The bathrooms are the creepiest. They haven't ever been updated and have a real 1960s feel. My basement looks like it should be the set for a Hostel-type movie. Worst of all, my dad bought some old barber chairs he's going to restore someday. So this room that already looks like a torture chamber now has 2 beat-up barber chairs in it. Public toilets at 4 a.m. Roller rink. I used to work at a roller hockey facility and often closed the place alone. The sounds still traveled and it sounded like I was being followed. Hotel. I work at a hotel. And actually one time in a dozen years of me working there, there was one day we had absolutely no guests in house. I did not like that one bit. I hated being in that huge building all by myself. Midway up the basement stairs after turning the lights off at the bottom. Below ground levels of a hospital. Gas stations. At 3 a.m. Especially ones that are in the middle of nowhere. The parking lot when you leave work late at night. My house when I've been watching conspiracy theories for hours. Practically any room in my house after I watch a horror movie. There's a stretch of road in my hometown where a few teenagers have died in car accidents. 3 kids on 2 separate occasions in the same spot. There are few street lights and wooded lots surrounding it. That stretch of road is very creepy at 1 in the morning when you're alone in the car. The subway. When it's packed with people, it's fine. You are just rushing with the rest of the crowd to catch the train. But when you are alone and every sound is bouncing off the walls, that's so creepy. The artificial lights don't feel as unnatural as they do when you are alone. You find yourself yearning for the sun or the stars or anything real. A small cloud of fireflies would be better than the hum of overhead artificial lights. Even the air smells stale down there. It feels like a tomb but with a train ready to take you on the way out. Empty school. Dark roads in the middle of the night. Basements. The woods near my apartment complex at night. The middle of the ocean. The house I grew up in. Short story. After my childhood home was sold, it was a big deal for me to be the last person of my family to sleep in it. Childish. I know. I invited my next door childhood friends to spend the last night there and they hung out for a while and then bailed. I asked, "Aren't you going to stay?" and they both said, "Nah man. Your house has always given me the creeps." I stayed for about 15 minutes after they left and finally bailed. For some reason that basic single-story suburbanite home was extremely creepy. Amusement parks. Just imagine yourself with no one to even turn on the rides. Long dark hallways. My thoughts. Any theater. You never want to be the last person in a dark theater. The ghost light can only ward away so much. Night hikes. People who go alone scare me. Hospital at night. Anywhere if you're paranoid enough. Anywhere that's very dark. You are never afraid of being alone in the dark. You are afraid of not being alone in the dark. Any old New England cemetery after dark. Rest stops after dark. It feels like you've entered a place where multiple dimensions touch or something. Everyone you come across, if you even do, are all wanderers that you'll most likely never see again. Malls. Rural highways in the middle of the night. Edit roads not highways lol. Everywhere. Imagining being in like New York and there is absolutely nobody. That would be creepy as hell. Random gas stations at night. Dark alley. I went to visit a concentration camp in Poland once because my great-grandma had been killed there and it was a kind of family history bucket list thing. It's not one of the more well-known ones. But it is incredibly well preserved. It was a gray, foggy day and I was the only person in the entire place. I expected to be emotional. But I didn't expect to be afraid. You know when you're a kid. Or heck, I get this sometimes even now. And you have to venture out of your bedroom in the dark to go to the bathroom or whatever, and you know there's nothing there but when you're done doing whatever it is you're doing, you can't help but sprint back to the safety of your bedroom. It felt like that. I had to physically fight the instinct to run. All places become creepy when alone. Your imagination makes sure of it. Playgrounds at night. I had to pass one walking home from work sometimes and it creepy as hell. There's this one place near where I live called Corpsewood. The stories of the place are very bizarre and a little creepy. First comes the story of a gay couple. Two men, living in a large house in this area. Not necessarily the middle of nowhere but surrounded by woods. This couple was murdered in their house later in their years of living there. Not sure how many. The place was then claimed to be one of the most haunted areas of our region. But wait, there's more. After these events there was a cult that moved into the Corpsewood area. The cops knew of their activity, but didn't do anything about it because there weren't any reports of anyone being harmed. Thought they were rebellious at some shit. Later on the cops were called to the place and found the cult members, about 100 strong, had committed a mass suicide. This skyrocketed the insane supernatural backing on the area. I've never been there myself, but the stories I've heard have given me chills. TLDR, gay couple murdered in a mansion and a cult kills themselves for whatever creepy reason. Pools at night. I worked on a science lab in an old university, and the 19th century basement hallways with all the lights off are from a terror movie. The flickering lights in the stairs at the end of the hallway did not make it any better. My house is actually in the middle of nowhere. It gets too quiet sometimes. Plus my house has bad history. Any long hallway lit with fluorescent lights after dark. Hospitals. I was in a hospital for an extended period of time and the amount of moans, beeps and casual shuffling you can hear is scary as hell. Any dark place tbh. Hospital. It's always creepy there, even if you are not alone. Catholic churches. Movie theaters. Especially when the end credits of a horror movie are rolling. The creepy music is playing. And you're peering around in the dark, trying to see whether there are any customers still in there or you can start cleaning. And you can't figure out whether that movement in the corner of your eye that made you jump was a real person or just a trick of the light. Parking garages, especially underground ones. I fully expect one day to get in my car with someone hiding in the backseat. Libraries. So many walls of books. You don't know if someone's there. A department store. A city. Her own toilet at 3 a.m. Large enclosed spaces, with many hiding spots and places for your imagination to put things, like right behind you. Country laneways. Cornfields and backyards. Prison. There's a section of our facility that closes at 10. And it has the gym, kitchen, barber shop and several classroom areas. It's not manned after this time period, as all the inmates are locked in for the night. But one lucky officer gets to do rounds in this section. Most people try to get it out of the way early in the shift. 11:30 p 730A. So hopefully done by 1230A. But sometimes shit happens, and you get busy. So, there's a classroom wing where officers report hearing footsteps behind them. It's the least echo-y part of the facility. So it's especially creepy. One asshole teacher used to have a creepy zombie face placed in the window of their office. So it looked like it was a person peeking out. We finally got that shit taken down. So no more impromptu heart attacks while doing that round. But the footsteps persist. You basically jog around the whole area checking the doors to get out faster. The kitchen. There are lots of hide-y-hole areas. So you have to be extra careful. Even if the count cleared okay at 10 p.m. and no inmate movement has been had. Plus the phone has been known to ring and it's static on the other end. And you have to go into the creepy back hall where the freezers are to make sure they're at the right temps. Not fun. The gym. Officers have reported hearing sneaker squeaks. Like someone running on the court. Hearing and seeing basketballs bouncing when no one else is in the area. Apparently some officers don't gaff. Because on their downtime after rounds, they go back up there to watch TV in the gym office. Not me. Fuck that. The barbershop. Central will report getting off the hook alarms and phone calls with no one on the other end, or static coming from there. Like, Central will call you over the radio and you call them from the main desk up there, which is in front of the barber shop. And they'll ask you to confirm no one is using the phone in there. They'll literally have an off-the-hook alarm sounding. And the phone box in the barber shop is in your line of vision. Physically locked. And yes, when you open it, the phone is hung up snugly. The alarm shouldn't be going off, it has no reason to. And yet, damn near every night sometimes, this happens. So, prison. Movie theater. I used to clean a little 2-screen second-run theater and that shit was creepy. Even with all the lights on it was still dimly lit in the theaters, and walking through the aisles of seats thinking about the fact that someone could be crouched down hiding in a row. Camping. The forest at night. Can someone help me? My posts keep getting removed. Airports. I was once on a flight that was heavily delayed, arrived at my destination around 3 a.m. and disembarked into a dark, empty airport that, for some reason, had ABBA's Dancing Queen blasting over the speakers at full volume, fairly certain I transported to a different plane of existence at that moment. My office. It's nestled in a 50,000 SQFT warehouse. I'm often working late alone. I find it's eerily peaceful. Until you think you hear someone. Honestly, any basement. Something about storage being underground. An Aboriginal Australian meeting place cultural museum. Places like that get especially creepy when you're aware that not all knowledge is shared with kids and the only things you know about that are hung on the wall are war masks and weapons. That shit is the worst when it's quiet and you know you're the only one in there and a chair still scoots a little in the next room. Unfinished basement.